Viewers, you're still with us on See the Stories, and of course, we're going to continue talking to Metta right here. All right, Metta, so we're just going to go straight into it. Are there other mistakes that parents make in preparing their child's educational funds? What kind of mistakes do parents usually make?
Well, I think the most common mistake is that we don't start early, right?
Yes.
So we are quite shocked when the time comes and we don't have the money.
Yeah.
That's the first mistake maybe we do it. And the second mistake, maybe we don't really calculate how much is actually needed.
Yeah.
What we talked about earlier, how much we should allocate for saving fund.
Yeah.
That's what's because based on our capacity. But actually, we have to do it in a different approach. That is, we have to calculate what is the target first before we decide how much we have to save, or the other way around, right?
Yeah.
But of course, then we have to do more, more calculation. We have to research the school, research the expenses, and then we have to, calculate the future value after expenses, and then back and forth. So maybe that's going to be more complicated. But still, again, what I'm talking here, sometimes we miss to calculate the incremental cost of the education. The inflation rate, right? So, how much is the inflation for the education expense?
5, 10?
I think you mentioned earlier in the beginning that
Yeah.
Jika said it will be around 10 to
10.
50, 20%?
Ooh, 10 to 20.
15? Yeah.
10, 50%, right? Yeah, because I mean, like when we talk about the national inflation rate now it's already trending down, maybe about 2.5%. But when you talk about education,
It's never going down.
Going up.
and it's increasing more.
Steep.
Right, right. So again, that's why we have to really calculate the inflation to that.
Yeah.
And the third one, maybe as parents, we are over optimistic for our children. Of course, we want the best for our children, but of course, the best schools will give you another high amount of expenses as well. As I mentioned, if you go like for a good school, and the kids will be there for 3 to 6 years in that school.
Yeah.
So we have to really calculate how much the increase of the expense every month, the inflation rate as well. So if we're able to do it this year, but how about next year and the years to come? Do we have the capacity to do that? I mean, like, what is our salary increase rate?
Yeah.
Maybe not even 10 to 20%.
Have to be logical, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and then maybe the other one, as parents, we don't calculate the total cost of the expenses. I mean, like, the school fee is not just for the school fee.
Yes, book fees,
Yeah.
uniforms, everything.
Another extracurricular activity, field visit, those kind of stuff, right?
Building sort of like
Right.
expenses for the
and
school.
not to mention the social costs as well,
yeah.
right? Right. So
Play dates and everything.
Yeah.
right. So I guess we really have to choose the school that is really appropriate for the capacity for the parents as well as for the children, right? So that's the thing that we really have to consider it before.
Maybe you have
choosing.
to also consider the length or the
Duration.
yeah.
Or how long they'll be in school
Yeah, how
for.
far? How far is it from your house? Because that
yeah.
adds up to your
Distance, yeah?
transportation budget, right?
Right, right. I think maybe you have to experience. I mean, like, how to choose the school first based on distance. Second, based on the facilities.
Yeah.
And third, I don't know what.
I'm really intrigued when you say you have to give optimism to your child or to your kids at home that best education does not guarantee. Yeah, right? Because schools will offer you education anyway. How can we actually perceive that as well, which will be really counting as well for the success of your kids, right?
Right.
So is it good to actually give an understanding to your child about expenses? Because let's say, child, your parents are trying to fulfill this sort of budget so that you can go to a certain university in the future, for example.
Yeah, I guess it will be good to give that education to the kids as well, especially when when they're growing up. When maybe they will start to understand when they start to go to the middle school, right?
Yeah.
When you go to the junior high or senior high, because then, they already can think and can choose. My friends go to that school. Why can I go to the same school with them? Yeah, because you have your brothers and sisters as well, for example. Yeah, maybe that's another mistake that the parents maybe don't realize, because you know, when you finance one kid and you suddenly have another kid,
Yeah, unplanned.
unplanned. So again, you really have to ensure that you give the same, you know, the quality of education for your kids, and it has to be equal, and it has to be, you know, well, equal. I mean, depends on their kids. You know, characteristic for every kids will be different, right?
Okay, now what about if you plan to put your kids studying abroad for university level? Because nowadays very competitive, and I guess everyone can now be united in terms of work. You can work, you are an Indonesian working somewhere, so you have to have this sort of like exposures and level of international education for your kids. So
I think this question is personally for you, from you.
everything is personal for me.
When you talk about education,
Everything is personal.
Studying abroad, let's go. How much money do we
But
need?
yeah, if you plan for your children to study abroad, of course, you really have to calculate the total cost, right?
Yeah.
And it's not only for the school tuition fee,
The accommodation.
yeah, the accommodation, the travel expense, so the total living cost. And again,
The partying part.
and of course, the budget for the parents visiting the kids, right? Right. So again, you have to really calculate the total cost. I mean, like, and of course, it will depends on the, you know, how long they will be studying there. The longer they're studying there, of course, the budget will be going to be bigger as well, right? And of course, when we talk about the inflation rate of the international school, maybe it's not that fluctuative, you know, like maybe not that high as the ones in here.
Yeah.
But it depends on the exchange rate, right? So I guess if you already have a plan for the kids studying abroad, maybe it's better for you to start doing the investment in the foreign currency. Maybe if you plan to send your kids to the US, maybe you save in the US dollars, or if you have plan to go to the Australian, you have to you save from with the Australian US dollar.
Yeah.
What else?
Euro, if you send
you-
your kids to
right.
European countries. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Or you find some work that pays you in dollars.
That would be
Good idea. Yeah, I never really thought of that.
But again, I mean, like, maybe we talked earlier about, you know, how much, how expensive the education fund. I mean, like how nowadays the education is growing into a different kind of variety of that. But maybe we should see another opportunity that, you know, nowadays with the technology, maybe education will be more spread and more, you know, they
Easily
have
accessed.
easily access, right? So I guess maybe it's also good to find other solution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially like for example, if you want to study abroad, maybe you can look for.
The preparation for the university?
Yeah, and you know, beasiswa.
Scholarships.
Scholarship,
yes.
right?
Say that. Yeah.
Right, and there are many kinds of scholarship right now, and because you know the education system is become global, I think everywhere is now they have the global system as well, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we as parents, we have to look for other options on how the kids will get the training, the education, to increase the skill, because nowadays what important is to have the skills, right? Not just the education.
Yes.
Right. So nowadays maybe there are also free access online educations, or I don't know, some communities give their trainings for the kids. Maybe a lot of options that we have to explore.
Okay. So it's not only a matter of putting some kind of a money for the education fund, maybe if you opt to have the insurance as well or other investments, but also having the lifestyle and also other expenses as well tailored to the salary that you have and how much money you want to spend for education fund, for housing, for luxury activities, everything. So it goes in one package.
Exactly.
Right? And how many kids you have.
That would be
That matter a lot.
So it's all about planning.
Yes.
It's a family planning, then the financial planning. It's all related. So that's why this financial planning thing, again, is very personal, right?
Yeah.
So again, it depends on our own mindset. How do we see life? What we aspire to have for, for our future, for the kids, because otherwise everything has implication for the money, right?
Yeah.
So we really have to ensure that if I want to achieve that, so maybe I have to maintaining my lifestyle that is, sustainable.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
For long term.
Not only for the earth, but also for our lifestyle. Sustainable.
Yeah.
Good word.
Ma'am Metta, thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
so much for
I'm still
the
a-
discussion.
Still a little nervous when talking
Yeah.
about funds, but
Get the
we did
insights
learn a lot
of our
today.
viewers too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take notes and give it to my husband. So he knows what to do
You have
next.
to plan it together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good to always discuss with your partners for, planning for the education fund for the kids. Right?
Ma'am Metta, thank you so much. Please do come back next time.
Thank you, will do.
All right, viewers, so today we are commemorating Indonesian Tree Planting Day. We are going to talk about this after the break, so stay with us.
Now that's an investment for the earth.